how much water do you think we use in the school for the whole day?
Around 100, maybe.
100 liters.
115.
Okay.
Around 7,500 to 8,000 liters of water a day for everything.
Around 10,000 liters per day.
I know for certain that the canteen uses about 5,000 liters.
Right.
Out of which I think we are able to recycle about 4,000 because of the black water treatment. The rest I don't know, maybe another 1,000 I think.
Okay. So about 6,000 liters in a day.
Yeah.
Say about 12,000 liters.
15,000 liters.
100.
100?
6,000 liters of water.
In a single day, both at home and in school, how much water do you think you would use personally for all your requirements?
Like 800. Maybe. Maybe 5.
Okay.
6 or 7.
I'd say about 500 liters.
I don't know, maybe 700 liters.
1,500 liters.
About at least 50 liters.
5.
5 liters. Okay. If I told you that the school uses about 30,000 liters of water in a day, well, the right answer is about 30,000 liters in a day for the school.
30,000?
Yes.
That's a lot of water.
And if I told you that the school uses 30,000 liters of water in a day, and that you use between 130 to 150 liters of water in a day,
I'd be surprised.
the school uses about 30,000 liters of water in a day, and that you would yourself use about 130 to 150 liters of water in a day. Where water is easily available, it is taken so much for granted that we do not understand how much volume we consume. And in that absence of that knowledge, it becomes very difficult for us to be conservative or efficient with water use. So getting to be water literate, understanding how much we consume and where the water comes from becomes very important, especially for school children.
Water is a necessity for all life on the planet. The growing numbers of the human race and various consumptive uses for water are creating a severe stress on water availability. Today, most of the global fresh water is used for agriculture, the remaining for industrial, domestic, and recreational purposes. Where else to begin to understand the demand for water but your own school?
My name is Vishwanath. I'm a civil engineer and an urban planner, and I've been working in the water sector for about 25 years. I help communities, villages, schools, cities, houses, apartments design water systems and manage water better. So I was listening to you people as you were talking and discussing, and you started to estimate how much water you're using in the school, right? How did you go about doing it?
We actually kind of guessed.
Yeah, we estimated.
We estimated.
We just considered everything like
That
the
involves
possible
water.
facts that
the
we
use
knew.
of water.
Right?
And the places where it's used more extensively.
Right. So it looked like that you were going to places of water consumption like the kitchen and trying to make an estimate of how much water is used in the kitchen. Then you go to the toilet and you say, okay, how much water is getting used here? How much water is getting used in the garden? Things like that, right?
Yeah.
But these were guesses, right? Not so much as good estimates. How do you think we as engineers would try and understand how much water is being consumed at a place?
By measurement.
Measuring it. And how do we measure it?
Water meters.
Great. I'm glad that we had this conversation before, but it's very nice. Engineers always try to be as precise as possible in understanding demand. Because once we understand demand, we can then look at sources of supply and ensure that there is enough water for that demand to be met, right? And one of the best ways to measure demand and understand demand is a water meter. And you can put a water meter to a piped water supply coming from a river, or you can put it to a bore well, or you can put it to any other source. And then you start to estimate how much water is being used at a particular place. One another way which I would want to discuss with you is to understand storage. We have overhead tanks and big plastic tanks all across the school. We try and find out how many times it's filled. Yes? And based on the number of fillings in a day, we can start to estimate how much water is being consumed at that particular place. Right? That's not as accurate as a water meter, but it gets there. Then we start to understand the water consumption pattern. Once we know demand of water at a particular place, we then try to identify sources of water supply. Where does your school get water from?
Borewells.
Bore wells?
Or rainwater.
Or rainwater, right? Where does the city get its water from?
Kaveri River. And borewells.
And bore wells, right? And how far is the Kaveri from the river, from the city?
500 kilometers.
Good guess. About 100 kilometers. Mhm. And about 500 meters below the city. Yeah? So this city gets its water pumped up 100 kilometers and 500 meters, which makes it one of the largest distances to which water has to be pumped in the Indian context. This is among the top 5 cities in India where water has to be transported so far. And do you know how deep the borewells have gone?
1,500 meters deep.
Meters?
Kilometers.
2,000.
That's a pretty good guess. It's about 1,000 feet now. It's getting to 1,500 feet. Yeah, that's quite deep. And if you look at it from the city point of view, if you've gone 1,500 feet deep, you're actually below the river Kaveri. Yeah, because the Kaveri is only about 1,200 feet deep. So you're pumping water from below the river Kaveri.
we had to measure the time taken to fill
500 milliliters.
500 milliliters of water.
And then we check how long on an average it takes to wash our hands.
Yeah.
So first we took a plain water bottle which was 500 milliliter. We filled it completely with water, emptied it into a plastic mug, and then we marked the level of the water which came. So we knew that much was 500
milliliters.
Then we took a stopwatch and we measured the time it took to fill up that 500 milliliter. So that came about
6.57
seconds. And then the next step of it was I started washing my hands, and he again timed
how much time she took to wash her hands.
So then when we had both the quantities, we could multiply them and find the amount of water
used
one person uses to wash their hands.
To find out how many, we used a tally sheet to see how many people used went to wash their hands and go to the bathroom.
So then on an average day, on any day we asked people to go to the bathroom, and when they finished using it and come out, they had to make a mark
on the sheet.
So at the end of the day, we looked at the sheet and we approximately found out how many people
and how much water.
And then we multiplied everything and we found how much water
was used.
And we got that in liters. We realized that to just fill up 500 ml, we just take little time to just fill up 500 ml. And we take 500 ml.
Only 6 seconds.
So people sometimes just start washing their hands and keep washing
And then they'll use
it
this, and then they'll use
yeah.
the soap, and then
Keep washing
and the
it.
traffic will be
They take a
open.
minute, so that's so much water they use.
Yeah, that'll be yeah.
In the absence of a meter, it is difficult to guess how much water is being consumed in a school. But there are other approximate measures which can be taken. The storage that a school has, let it be overhead tanks or some tanks, and to find out how many times these storage volumes are filled in a day. By having the right volume of storage and by finding out the number of fillings, it will be possible to roughly estimate how much consumption of water is occurring in the school every day.